The market is volatile. The stocks keep going down. Then boom, we hit new highs. Everything is different now, but you don't gotta chase. Don't panic, don't stress. Time to realign, plan it out, invest. It's the First Fruits Podcast. We elevating with the First Fruits Podcast. No time for waiting, time to grow, give back, reinvest like that. Everything you need to know, the First Fruits Podcast. Let's go.
Welcome to another episode of the First Fruits Stock Club. Man, how is everybody doing out there? Hope you're having a great week. This is Hump Day. And man, it's such a pleasure to be able to get on here and talk about my favorite subject, which is investing and trading in the stock market. Man, let's give another cheer for that, man. Investing and trading. Yeah. Man, I have a few topics this week. But the first thing is I want to answer the question is stock market, stock warning, right? Is a crash coming? Do we have a crash coming? I'm going to answer that right away. And the answer is no, right? I don't believe this month we have a crash coming, but stay tuned, right? Stay tuned. I think this month is going to be a really good month. Like I said, the First Fruit Stock Club is a group of swing traders, right? Swing traders and investors. We have people at all different levels that come in, and man, we invest in stocks. And some of us just want to trade long term. Some of us want to trade leaps, long term leaps, and where we buy contracts in a particular company, right? Or an index or ETF that we may like that may be on our list, and we buy position, buy a contract, and we may hold that contract, right? 1 day up to 180 days or even a year outside of that. All right. Most of the times, like I said, we execute those options, but sometimes it takes a while for those contracts and those positions to really pan out, right? We had a position that we had in the club, and I put the position a little early. I probably could have waited, but I mean, I thought that it was a great idea, and definitely got help from club members, and so we decided to put this play in, and I looked at my model that I put together that I've had over the years. I was a investment advisor back in 2000, and I've actually been in the stock market since 2000, and I've had models. I have financial models all basically over the time. I put together things where I see certain things, and at certain times, that's when you put in a trade. And sometimes you might have to pause, and sometimes you may have to pull back. Like there are a few trades last month that I decided to pull back, or I had a very quick trigger finger, meaning I exited those options fairly quickly. The options consisted of the ones I exited. I'm trying to think. Google was one that we exited early, and gold were two options that I thought that I had the timing right and had the things going on, but it wasn't. And I knew June, like I discussed, and like I said, what I want to do, my goal is to come to you every week with some ideas for the week and for the month, that if you're swing trading, if you're buying options, if you're looking to buy and hold, to come to you with some ideas that will allow you to be profitable and to have a profitable month. So what does a profitable month mean, right? Becoming profitable. What does that mean? So my idea is being profitable, and this is what I talk to the club and the club formula, is I say this: if we can earn, and for example, say if you're trying to do a $10,000 a month, if you can earn maybe $2,500 to $3,000 in dividends, right? You build up your dividend portfolio, you do $2,500 to $3,000 in dividends, and then say you earn another $5,000 in trading, right? And then you earn another $2,000 in your long-term portfolio. To me, those three things working together is a $10,000 a month, which can be achieved. It's achieved. Now, it's not going to happen overnight, right? It's going to take some time. You're going to have to build out the system. I have a system to build it out. And you have to listen to me. If I tell you to do things, you have to do it. Now, definitely starting out the process of the club, I had some systems and I probably didn't communicate as much as I could, but now I had those systems down tight. So I tell you, I tell everyone in the club and we have a message board, I'm like, look, this is what I'm in right now. Get in here. Right. And then if I exit, get out of this play, time to get out. So those are the things and the decisions that I have to make, as the club leader. And we've been successful. I've had a lot of successful trades in the club, and you're going to have a few. One of the worst probably is Netflix. Oh no. What happened to my camera? Okay, there we go. Man. So one of my worst is Netflix. Netflix went, when they got out of the deal, the stock skyrocketed. So I thought that the stock was going to go back on a trajectory that it was before. Well, Netflix has yet to recover. Now, I still hold Netflix in my long-term portfolio, and I still like the stock long-term, but I thought that we were going to have a short-term burst in that. So, that one didn't work out. So sometimes things don't work out. And so that's why it's also important that you have, when you're trading, you have some points, you have some exits, right? For example, 20% down, exit. Especially determining where you are and where you are in the economy and what's going on. And some of the things really that I also try to get through to the club is that understanding the Greeks. And the Greeks are important because Greeks determine the personality, help you determine the personality of the stock and how the stock will react to market conditions, what I call the personality. And I believe that there's, in the market, when we're looking at the market has certain characteristics that will give it a certain personality. And when you match the stock, right, with the Greek and the personality of the stock and the personality of the market, when you get a match of those two things, then you build what you call magic. You'll have returns, and then you'll have an understanding of money. When I started making money trading, right, money will not mean the same to you anymore. In a sense of, money is still valuable, right? But when you're a trader and you're a swing trader, and you make $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 in a trade, it just changes your view on money. Because if you think about the time it took for you at your job to earn that amount of money, and now you can basically do it in a trade, which takes mind power, right? You have to have the decision-making matrix and know how to read the Greeks and read the markets and read the charts. It takes a lot of knowledge to do those things, to put yourself in position for that. But you can be very profitable if you just spend the time And if you don't want to spend the time, get with a great group of people who have spent the time. All right, so look, before I get any deeper, man, just this is a disclaimer. The information provided in First Fruit Stock Club podcast for education and informational purposes only and should not be considered financial, tax, or legal advice. The views expressed in the host and the guests are of their own and do not reflect the opinions of the financial institution or regulatory authority. Investing in stocks and other securities carries risk, including the potential of loss of principal. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Always conduct your own research and consult with licensed financial professional before making any investment decision. The First Fruit Stock Club and its affiliates do not guarantee any specific outcomes or returns. By listening to this podcast, you acknowledge that you are responsible for your own investment decisions. So, man, the stock market just gives you a different perspective on this. All right, let me get into it this way. And I said stock market warning because we've had some turbulence, right? We've had some turbulence in June. June is kind of like the mid-year point. It's the end of the second quarter. So, you have to look at it and expect some turbulence in June, because what happens is people are not willing to, because it's the end of the second quarter, traders are not willing to go out on a limb as they may go in the beginning of the quarter, because they got to close their books. So June is one of those months that people are closing their books and booking their trades and booking their returns. So because of that, because they're booking their returns, you're not going to get people holding positions. In fact, people will be cutting positions. And we had some problems, but June still had a few profitable days, in it. And there's a lot of profitable stocks. Of course, as a trader, you're not going to be able to you're not going to be able to get into every stock. You're not going to be able to trade every stock. What is going on? I'm having some problems today. You're not going to be able to trade every stock. But you have to know the environment, have to know the personality of the month and of the market, and also the personality of the stock that you're trading. And like I said, when you match those things together and you understand where you are, then you can have profitable trades. You can determine where you are, and you can grow your account, have a profitable month. What is the overall goal? And then if you do profit, it is up to you to not be greedy. And that's what the system I developed for everybody is for you to limit greed, right? Saying first fruits is all about taking those first fruits and giving a percentage of your trades. As a matter of fact, what I'm going to start doing is what I do for my winning trades, right? I take a percentage of that and I put it in my investment account, my nonprofit investment account. I can't think of the name of it. Can't think of the name what the account is called. But what I'm able to do is I'm able to grant funds to nonprofits. So look, if you are a nonprofit out there and the grants aren't huge, I usually, like I said, if I do a $10,000 a month, I'll put $1,000 aside. What I do is I try to put the majority of the monies in the account, which once I put it in an account, I cannot touch it. I have to grant it to a nonprofit. So if you have a nonprofit out there, right, and it's under Charles Schwab with it's a donor account. Hey, thank you. So I have a donor account, and what I do is when I trade and I profit, take my profitable trade, and then I put it into my donor account. And the goal for the donor account, of course, is to grow. The account is growing. So the majority of it goes in there, but I also gift and grant gifts to nonprofits. And I was able to do a couple nonprofits this year, and my goal was to do more nonprofits. So, man, if you have a nonprofit or you know somebody who has a nonprofit trying to DM me in the chat and let me know And like I said, you have to be registered under Charles Schwab donor account. Okay, so you have to be official nonprofit, and I will review it. Right, I'll review it and look at giving and granting you funds. All right, and I'm not going to do it every month, like I said, because my goal was to grow the account. But I will every few months. I'll get on here, but you never know, so you got to show up and watch. Got to show up and watch. But I do plan to give from my donor account. But the process is once you trade, you should give a portion of it away. Whatever you're doing, right? First fruits, it's about giving a portion of it away. What that does, it just changes your view on money, right? Changes your view. Even as traders, right? Even as traders, you can lose your confidence, have a few bad trades, and not believe that you're going to be successful, right? But what happens is when you give, it does something to you internally, right? And allows you to have faith. And, it takes faith. It takes faith to invest. It takes faith to give money away, right? And it's always that thing tugging at you. You just I just got to trade more and more. Got to grow my account. There's a lot of need out there, especially going on right now. So I try to do my part, even though it's small. All right. So let me just get into the topics today. Today, I got a few topics. We're going to go into market communication. We're going to talk about July week 1, what I think some profitable trades. We're going to get into the fear index and earnings coming this month. Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, and Meta. Man, I think there's some opportunity there. And as of today, I put in a trade. I just put it in a club, and I put it in trade in one of those. Not going to tell you. Well, maybe I'll tell you. Got to stay to the end. Which trade I put in. You might know. If you watch the market, you'll know which one of these is booming right now. But man, it's crazy, 115% in a day. So, but anyway, so the trades, and then just some data. June employment data comes out tomorrow, right? So you have to know what that means. Non-farm payrolls, which is always an experience. And then the market will be closing at 1 p.m. tomorrow Eastern time. If you don't know, 1 p.m. Eastern will be closing early due to the holiday. And of course, it will be closed on Friday. All right. You don't know. All right. So let's get into, man, we had a rough day today. Not too bad, but, market was down. Dow Jones Industrial down 13.96 points. S&P down 16. Down 16.13, and then the NASDAQ down 173 points, right? So if we look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average, right, it looks good. The chart looks good, and this is a 1 week. We're hitting higher highs, and I should have drew the line, but if we were to draw a line by the lows in the market, we will see what's called an uptrend in the market, right? Uptrend in the market, that's what we like. Now, it does look like, we're a little stretched on the downtrend, and we can see where that goes. And of course, we reached another new high in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. But I believe July will bring out even more gains. All right. I think July is an opportunity. Like I said, we closed out. June was a little rough, but we did close out on a positive note in June, which is, the end of the quarter. And so that went pretty well. Let's look at S&P 500. Once again, we're on an uptrend for the week. Since last week, we're on an uptrend. I love that. And I think there's some opportunities there. And then the NASDAQ on an uptrend, right? We're on an uptrend. And I believe that we will possibly bounce. Okay, so the market communication in June is July, and closing out June. June was negative. I saw a lot of negative news online. People always, and I know I kind of touched you guys in regards to stock market warning, but you should always trade on an edge, but I believe this month will be a profitable month for you, and I think you can really make some decent money this month if you work. This isn't financial advice, but I believe that there are some opportunities right now, and the market's been up last few days. I mean, except today, opened up June on a negative note, but. Like I said, I believe July. I mean, open up July, a negative month, but July, I believe, is going to turn out to be a good month. I mean, maybe I'm being too hopeful, but I believe it's going to be. But the market communication is that when I say market communication, I'm saying what are the things or what are the topics that will be discussed in the market that will cause the market to go go down or go up, and the communication right now, beginning for the month of July, right, is payrolls, right, and jobs and non-farm payrolls. And why you want to, what is the perspective, and why do the jobs report, how does it affect the market? Well, as a trader, you always have to be worried that the market, that they will have that discussion. And I'm sorry, and I'm going to go back to last month. Last month, the discussion was, they're going to raise rates. And yes, they may raise rates. I don't see it. They said that maybe at the end of the year, but that was really kind of like the discussion in June, right? That was the market communication in June. And they're saying maybe possibly later on in the year they have raised rates. But it was the Fed, new Fed chair's his first presentation. And he said, basically they kept rates neutral. So I really don't believe he's going to raise rates. And I just think the communication is negative. I don't think that's going to happen, especially, okay, we have the president who's been saying, I want to cut rates. The rates are too high. Let me think about him and the previous Fed chair. I can't think of his name. They were at it, right? They were at it in regards because he wouldn't lower the rates, and the president was very upset. So to think that he appointed a new Fed chair and he's not going to lower rates, I just don't see that happening. Like, I don't hear a lot of people talk. I don't see it happening. Why all of a sudden all the communication now is that they're going to hike rates? So, but that's what the jobs report will uncover, right? If they say that, at the lower unemployment goes, that means more people have jobs, more people have money. That means more people can spend. That means spending causes prices to go up. As prices go up, they say the mechanism that they have for prices to come back down is increasing rates. And what rates allow, how they counteract inflation is that the cost of borrowing will go up, right? The cost of borrowing money will go up. So they use, and therefore businesses will have to raise their prices, and prices will slow down demand. And demand, right? That's what it's all about, supply and demand, right? Demand controls inflation. If there's no demand, then there's people aren't going to raise prices. Like those two kind of work together. So that's what the jobs, and if the jobs come in weak, it's like, well, are we headed for a recession? I'm just telling you the market communication and the dynamics that will happen and discussions that will happen coming up. Okay, are we going into a recession now? Okay. And that will be the next discussion. And that affects the market in a different way, because now it's like, hey, we're going to recession, people will stop buying, businesses start doing bad, earnings will go down. All right, that's the formula and that's the process, which I don't really see us. I mean, earnings has been great this year, compared to the previous time frames. And I think we will continue, and I think we will continue throughout the end of the year. So I think that the jobs will come in. I think the jobs, payrolls, and non-farm payrolls will come in neutral, right? I don't think it will affect the market too much. And matter of fact, I think it will affect the market in a positive sense, okay? And I think for that standpoint, I don't think we have a lot to worry. But I could be wrong, right? You know, when we get the report come out at 8 o'clock tomorrow. We'll see how the market responds. Trading will be light tomorrow because the market closed early. But there will be trading and no trading on Friday. All right. So that is the perspective, and that is what's going on. So the next topic is the Fear and Greed Index. And you have the Fear and Greed Index. And that was one of the things. It increased 7 points. So when there's an app called Fear and Greed. It's a great app. You should look at it. But it just tells you that the sense of people, are people fearful or people being greedy right now in the market? And right now, I mean, well, at the end of the last month, when I actually started working on this presentation, last week it was at maybe 25, and it went up 7 points, up to 32. So people are becoming more positive in the market. So that's another reason I believe that the market had a lot of room because it was at 25. And it was in fear mode. Like people were nervous, right? And like I said, all the communication about raising rates and the market was stalling out a little bit. People were concerned about it. You know what I mean? So people were concerned about it. So what that allowed, what that created is people fear. So the fear, it was down close to 25, but now is going more towards greed, right? And as it increases, it goes to greed. So now it's heading towards greed, which is at 32, and I think it will continue. It's at fear, but it's not at red, right? Red is like the worst, but orange is still on alert. But we believe that the market is getting better and there's some opportunities. And I love that the section that we are, I think the opportunities are. Now, July will bring us some turbulence, but I believe that if you position yourself in the right companies and the right stocks, you will have a great profitable July. And that's the overall goal. All right. So look, we have some big stocks reporting this month: Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, and Meta. And I believe that if you're looking for opportunities in the stock market this month, I believe it's going to come in within the Mag 7. The Mag 7 has been getting hit, right? Few of the stocks in the Mag 7. Was that 4 of them? All right. Have been getting hit the last few months. I believe the opportunity now is for you to access this report. Opportunity now for you to access these stocks. And I believe Apple, Amazon, let's look at the charts. And I'm going to close this out. Look at the charts, man. Look at Apple. I think it's even lower today. I did this last week. I think it closed at, where we at? I think it closed that low, but I like Apple closing out the year, but they report. Now Apple's had some issues now because, like I said, the communication with Apple has been they have to raise phone prices. But that could actually be a boom if they have raised prices. Therefore, it's going to generate more revenue. People are going to buy more phones. I mean, they said Mac prices went up $300. People are going to buy Mac. The people who own those things, who are in the ecosystem, the Apple ecosystem, will stay in the system and will pay. Okay, I believe that. So I love Apple. I love Apple right here. I mean, I own it long term. I don't know about trading options on it, but that's where I am. Amazon's another chart. Look at the chart. Chart shows opportunity, right? It's not as high as works down. I believe it's even lower now. Like I said, I did these last week. But I believe that this is an opportunity for you. If you're looking for some opportunities this month, I really like. And this is Microsoft. Man, Microsoft is has been getting hit, but I don't know about trading if you do have options on this, you better take it out to 2028. Okay, because the whole issue with software stocks and AI it's a big issue right now. And I mean, I believe in the long term, Microsoft will be fine. I still use Microsoft. I still use what is the name of? I still use Excel and PowerPoint and all the other different programs, and I use it in conjunction with chat, right? So I'm able to combine the two and create my presentations when I'm doing. So I mean, I'm still using it now. Will they be able to charge like they have in the past, like on per person? Like they may have to come with a different formula, right? Because they would sell the license for corporations. Will they be able to generate the same amount of revenue? That is the problem right now going with Microsoft. They don't know if their business model will stay the same and they'll be able to charge what they have in the future. Still valuable. We'll see what happens with Microsoft, but I think it's a great long-term hold. Long-term hold. Man, and Meta, this is sweet. I put an option in on Meta, and man, we up 113%. I really like Meta right now. I like this chart. This is not financial advice because the option could turn. So I'm not gonna put on. I know some people like to show. I say, look, if you really want to trade, join the club. If not, you can find your own price point in the stock. But Meta, I think it's an opportunity there. And today has shown. Now, I know I was reading that they're looking at their data center business. And so we'll see. We'll see with Meta, but I believe that it's a great start to the month in Meta. And I am invested in Meta in my long term. And recently, like I said, I started placing options in Meta, looking for good spots. And sometimes like I said, you'll hit. I've hit a lot, right? And I've had some I've had bad, as I discussed in the beginning, but I also have hit a lot this year, and that I will show the club members get an opportunity to get into that trade. So, man, that is it. That is it. I believe there's some opportunity in the Mag 7, and if you want to invest there, I believe that is great for your investment. And if you want to have a profitable July, those some opportunities, some things you should look at. It's the first week. It's closing down. It's a holiday week. Market's closing down early. But I believe that, it's still plenty of opportunity. And like if you buy time, as we do when we buy Leap options, we're buying time. Gives a time for the play to come in. Buying at a great price. Price is everything. Price determines the future value, right? Current price determines the future value. I believe that if you buy at the right price, and you buy time where the future value is able to produce itself, then you will have a profitable July. All right, my name is Donald Green. I'm the founder of the First Fruit Stock Club. Thank you guys for giving me a few moments of your time. I hope this information you find valuable. And if you are looking for a place or a home and you're looking for a community to become a part of course, I'm going to have to promote the First Fruit Stock Club, www.firstfruitstockclub.com, www.firstfruitstockclub.com. Man, we are a group of swing traders from all different levels, from just buying and holding, right? From developing a dividend portfolio and also swing trading options. That is what we do. And until next time, you guys have a good one. And the answer to the question is, I don't believe the crash is coming, but it will be here. The stock market always crashes. And you just have to be able to have the wherewithal, find the gaps. And until next time, be fruitful. Bye-bye.
The market is volatile, the stocks keep going down, then boom, we hit new highs. Everything is different now, but you don't gotta chase, don't panic, don't stress. Time to realign, plan it out, invest. It's the First Fruits Podcast. We elevating with the First Fruits Podcast. No time for waiting, time to grow, give back, reinvest like that. Everything you need to know, the First Fruits Podcast. Let's go.